I've been depositing $2,000 into your RESP every single month since you were born, my grandmother said across the Thanksgiving table. 22 years of contributions. That's over $500,000, Maya. The word hit me like cold water. I put down my fork. My brother Daniel stopped chewing. Across the table, my sister-in-law Priya reached for her wine glass with a hand that was suddenly not quite steady. Grandma, I said carefully, I took out over $60,000 in student loans. The table went completely silent. Even my niece stopped kicking her chair. I watched my brother's jaw tighten. I watched Priya's eyes dart sideways toward the kitchen, toward the exit, toward anywhere that wasn't my grandmother's face. I had lived 28 years on this earth, and I had never seen either of them look like that. Like they'd been caught. I said the sentence that I had rehearsed for exactly none of my life, because until 30 seconds ago, I had no idea I needed to rehearse it. Daniel, I said. My voice steady in a way my hands were not. Where is my money? Before I tell you what my brother said next, drop a comment. Where in Canada are you watching from? I want to see how far this story travels. I want to be clear about something. I am not someone who grew up expecting handouts. I'm a registered nurse. I work 12-hour overnight shifts at a hospital in Ottawa. I budget in a spreadsheet. I meal prep on Sundays. I have a 3-month emergency fund in a high-interest savings account because I read one personal finance article at 23 and it scared me straight. I built that life from scratch, or at least I thought I did. My name is Maya. I'm 28 years old, and up until that Thanksgiving dinner, I believed the story of my life was this. Girl from a modest family works hard, takes on $63,000 in student loans, graduates nursing school, spends 4 years paying down debt with the discipline of someone who has never had a safety net. That story was a lie someone told me so they could spend my safety net themselves. My grandmother, Nana Ruth, is 74 years old. She is the kind of woman who keeps a coin purse in her cardigan pocket and still mails birthday cards with a $20 bill folded inside. She grew up in Sudbury, raised my mother mostly alone after my grandfather passed, and spent 30 years as a school secretary, saving every dollar she could into a plan she set up the month I was born. A registered education savings plan, an RESP. For people outside Canada, an RESP is a tax-sheltered investment account parents or grandparents set up for a child's post-secondary education. The government adds grant money on top. If the money isn't used for school, the subscriber gets the contributions back. But the grants and growth get clawed back by the government, and the earnings are taxed heavily. The whole point is that the money is for the child, for school. Nana Ruth set mine up in 1996. She had been depositing $2,000 a year, then $2,000 a month once my grandfather's life insurance came through. She never told me the exact amount because she didn't want me to feel pressure. She just wanted me to know it existed. She had mentioned it exactly twice. Once when I was 16, when she said, "Don't worry about university. I have something set aside." Once when I turned 18, when she said, "Your brother Daniel is going to help manage the paperwork because my eyes aren't what they were." My brother Daniel is 34. He's an account manager at a financial services company in Toronto. He has a 4-bedroom house in Oakville, a Tesla in the driveway, and a wife named Priya, who runs what she calls a lifestyle brand on Instagram with 40,000 followers and a highlight reel of home renovation projects, spa days, and what she captions investing in us. I thought they were just doing well. I did not ask questions because I was busy surviving. I was busy working 48-hour weeks, paying off my OSAP loans, eating whatever was cheapest at the No Frills near my apartment, and telling myself that this was what building a life looked like, that the struggle was normal, that everyone starts from zero. I reached into my pocket. My thumb hovered over my phone screen. I had downloaded the live recording app 3 days earlier, after a conversation I need to tell you about, because it is the piece that changed everything. 3 days before Thanksgiving, I had called Nana Ruth to ask if she needed a ride to my cousin's place for the holiday. She was in the middle of telling me she'd been reorganizing her filing cabinet when she said, almost as an aside, "I found all the old RESP statements. Maya, I haven't looked at them in years. I should bring them to Daniel so he has the updated paperwork." I paused. Updated paperwork for what? "Well, you finished school 6 years ago," she said slowly. "I assumed he closed the account and transferred everything to you. He said he would handle it." The floor of my apartment shifted under me. "Nana, I never received anything from an RESP." A long silence. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I paid for nursing school with student loans. $63,000. I just finished paying them off 8 months ago." Another silence, Longer this time. When she spoke again, her voice was different, quieter. The voice of a woman doing arithmetic she did not want to finish. Maya, she said, I have been contributing to that account for 22 years. I did the math on my own. 2,000 a month for 12 years, plus the earlier years of smaller contributions, plus the government grants, plus compound growth over 2 decades in a diversified portfolio. Nana Ruth had accumulated over $500,000 for my education. I had graduated with $63,000 in debt and $0 in savings. I downloaded the app that night. I did not tell anyone. I did not confront Daniel by phone. Because I am a nurse, and I have sat at enough bedsides to know that people only tell the truth when they cannot see the exit, I had to wait for Thanksgiving. So, here I was, sitting at the holiday table in my cousin's house in Canada, watching my brother's jaw tighten and my sister-in-law's hand tremble around a glass of Niagara ice wine that I now understood in a completely new way. And I said again, quietly, Daniel, where is my money? Maya. His voice had the tone he always used with me. The patient, slightly tired tone of someone explaining something to a person who doesn't quite understand. The tone I had accepted my entire life because he was 6 years older and everyone always said he was the responsible one, the financial one, the one who understood these things. The RESP was closed. The funds were managed. It's complicated. Managed, I repeated. There were fees, market losses, administrative costs. You know, the 2008 crash affected a lot of portfolios. And then 2020. I graduated in 2019, I said. Before 2020. He picked up his fork. It's complicated, Maya. Then uncomplicate it. Priya set down her wine glass. She had a way of entering a conversation like she was doing you a favor by participating in it. Maya, you have to understand that managing an account of that size takes work. Daniel has been spending his time, his expertise, I said. His expertise that he used to buy a Tesla. That is completely unrelated. Is it? You're being aggressive, Priya said, her voice sharpening. This is Thanksgiving. Nana Ruth is right there. You're going to upset her. I looked at Nana Ruth. Nana Ruth was sitting very still, both hands flat on the table, watching my brother with an expression I had never seen on her face before. It was not upset. It was not confused. It was the expression of a woman who has just confirmed something she had already begun to suspect and who is now deciding what to do with the confirmation. I'm not upset, Nana Ruth said. Her voice was perfectly calm. I would like to hear Daniel answer Maya's question. My brother laughed. The laugh of someone stalling. Okay. Can we just agree to talk about this privately? This isn't the place. The account was in my name, Nana Ruth said. I am the subscriber. I would like to know what happened to my contributions. You transferred management authority to me when I was 25, Daniel said. You signed the forms, Ruth. You gave me the access. I gave you access to help me manage the paperwork, she said, not to make withdrawals. The money was invested in the family. Was it invested? Nana Ruth said, and the way she said it, the pause before the word, made everyone at the table go very quiet. In the renovation you did on your kitchen last spring? Priya stood up. Excuse me, I need to check on the… Sit down, Nana Ruth said. Priya sat down. My phone, propped against the water pitcher with the camera pointing through the handle gap, had been recording for 11 minutes. The Muskoka cottage, I said, because I had been thinking about this for 3 days and I had a list. You rented a cottage in Muskoka for 3 weeks last summer. That's not cheap. And the trip to Portugal in the spring. And Priya's car, the one she got last Christmas. We work hard, Priya said, her voice rising. We are allowed to have nice things. With whose money? With our money. We are successful people, Maya. Not everyone wants to live in a tiny apartment eating rice and beans. I was paying off student loans that I didn't need to take out, I said. I worked overnight shifts for 4 years. I skipped my friend's wedding in Vancouver because I couldn't afford the flight. I told myself that was just life. I looked at her. That was not just life. That was your trip to Portugal. Something shifted in Priya's face. The social smoothness cracked, just slightly, and underneath it was something harder. The thing that lives under polished surfaces. When the polish stops working. You were fine, she said. You had a job. You had a plan. You were never going to spend that money the right way anyway. The right way. You're practical, Maya. You're solid. You would have put it all in a savings account at 2% interest. Daniel understood how to actually grow wealth. How to invest. How to leverage assets. You spent it, I said. We grew the family's portfolio. You spent my grandmother's money on your lifestyle and then told me there was nothing left. Maya. My brother's voice was sharp now, the patience gone. You don't understand how these things work. Money in a family isn't divided by name. It flows where it's needed. You were fine. You are fine. You have a good job. You have your health. You were never going to. I deferred my OSAP payments for 8 months in my second year because I couldn't afford them and work at the same time, I said. I missed 2 dental appointments because I was rationing expenses. I ate cereal for dinner for 4 months. I was 23 years old, and I was deciding between a bus pass and groceries because you told Nana Ruth the account was being managed. That was your choice. It was your theft. The word landed like something physical. My cousin, who had been frozen at the end of the table, exhaled sharply. My niece looked between the adults with wide eyes. My brother's face went through several expressions very quickly and settled on something I had never seen on him before. Fear. Not the social discomfort of someone caught in an awkward family moment. Real fear. The kind that happens when a person realizes that the story they have been living inside has walls, and the walls are closing. Maya, he said, and his voice was different now. Lower. The way people talk when they are trying to make something private. Put the phone away. What phone? I can see the light on the picture. You're imagining things. Maya. He leaned forward. I can fix this. We can work out a payment arrangement, a private agreement. Family doesn't need to involve. Involve what? I asked. He stopped. Involve who? I pressed. My grandmother reached into her cardigan pocket. She did not take out her coin purse. She took out a folded piece of paper, the kind with the letterhead of a legal office, and she set it on the table next to the cranberry sauce. I went to see a financial lawyer on Wednesday, Nana Ruth said. After Maya called me, I brought all of the RESP statements I found in my filing cabinet. 22 years of contribution records. My brother's face went the color of the tablecloth. The lawyer helped me request the account transaction history from the financial institution, she continued. Her voice was steady in a way that made her sound like a much younger woman, the voice of someone who had been making hard decisions for a long time and was not afraid of one more. The account was opened in 1996. It had a total contributed value of $514,000, including government grants. By the time you requested the subscriber transfer of authority in 2017, by the time the account was formally closed and the funds were withdrawn in 2021, the balance was $11,000. The table was completely silent. $11,000, I said. $11,000, Nana Ruth confirmed. I checked the dates. The majority of the withdrawals happened between 2018 and 2021. You withdrew the funds in increments just under $10,000. I believe that was intentional. In Canada, financial institutions are required to report cash transactions over $10,000 to FinTrack, the Financial Transactions and Reports Analysis Center of Canada. Withdrawals structured to stay just under that threshold are called structuring. Structuring is a federal offense under the Proceeds of Crime and Terrorist Financing Act. My brother understood this. I could see him understanding it in real time. The lawyer also noted, Nana Ruth said, that because the funds were held in a registered account in my name, any unauthorized withdrawal constitutes fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. He also noted that OSAP loans taken out while an RESP with sufficient funds existed may constitute relevant damages. Nana, Daniel said, and for the first time in my entire life, my brother sounded small. You don't want to do this. This is a family matter. This will destroy everything. Mom would have never. Your mother is not here, Nana Ruth said. I am. She pushed the paper across the table toward him. The lawyer has filed an initial complaint with the Ontario Securities Commission and forwarded the transaction records to the RCMP Financial Crimes Unit. This is not a threat. It has already been done. Priya pushed her chair back. I need to. You're listed as joint account holder on the LLC that received the withdrawals, I said. I had done my research. Priya, you signed those documents. She sat back down. My phone had 42 minutes of recording at this point. I looked at the screen. I had been going live, not just recording. The viewer count surprised me. I had told 3 friends what I was doing, asked them to share the link if things got real. Things had gotten real. I turned the phone around and showed my brother the screen. He looked at the number. He looked at me. You streamed this. Ontario is a one-party consent province, I said. I'm a party to the conversation. For a moment, I thought he was going to keep arguing. My brother has always been good at arguing. He can take any situation and reframe it. Find the angle that makes him reasonable and you emotional. make you feel like the problem is your perspective rather than the facts. I had watched him do it to me for 28 years. I had believed him more times than I could count. He believed himself. That was the thing I understood now, sitting across from him at that Thanksgiving table. He did not think he was a thief. He had built an entire framework in which he was a steward, an allocator, a man of financial vision who had taken an underperforming asset, his sister's education fund, and redirected it toward higher yield investments. Himself, his image, his lifestyle. He had looked at me struggling through nursing school and decided that my struggle was evidence of my character, not his crime. I watched him decide not to argue. "I want to speak with a lawyer," he said. "That seems wise," Nana Ruth replied. He stood. Priya stood. My niece looked at her father with the careful attention of a child who is filing something away. Daniel looked at me once before he left, and I want to be precise about what was in that look because I thought about it for a long time afterward. It was not remorse. It was not apology. It was the look of someone recalibrating, someone already working out the next version of the story. The one where he is still the reasonable person, and I am still the problem. I let him go. I sat with Nana Ruth after everyone else had quietly found reasons to be in other rooms. The kitchen was quiet except for the sound of the furnace cycling on, the particular warmth of a Canadian house in late October doing its work. She reached across the table and put her hand over mine. Her hands are small and dry, and she wears the same ring she has worn since 1972, a thin gold band with a chip of garnet that she told me once cost your grandfather 2 weeks of his wages, and I have never wanted to take it off. "I should have checked," she said. "I should have asked you directly. I trusted him because he used words I didn't understand, and I was ashamed to ask twice." "You trusted your family," I said. "So did you." We sat there for a while. The live stream was still running. I forgot about it for a moment. And then I looked at the phone and saw the comments scrolling, and I felt something strange. A specific kind of not aloneness that is hard to describe. Thousands of people, sitting in their own houses in their own cities, watching an old woman and her granddaughter hold hands at a Thanksgiving table and understand each other. I turned off the stream. Some things are just for us. In the months that followed, the RCMP Financial Crimes Unit opened a formal investigation. The OSC flagged the structured withdrawals and the LLC documentation. My brother's employer placed him on administrative leave pending the outcome. Nana Ruth's lawyer filed a civil claim for recovery of the RESP funds on my behalf, including documented damages tied to the student loans I had taken out unnecessarily. Priya's lifestyle brand went quiet. No new posts, no new highlights. The 40,000 followers waited and then, slowly, moved on. The civil settlement, which was reached privately and which I am not able to discuss in detail except to say that it was significant, allowed me to pay off the mortgage on the apartment I had just bought in Ottawa's East End. It is a small place, old building, drafty windows that I have learned to weather strip, a balcony that gets afternoon sun from April to October. I sit on that balcony sometimes in the evenings after night shifts, wrapped in the blanket my grandmother knit me when I was 6, drinking tea and watching the lights on the river. I think about the version of myself that spent 4 years believing the debt was just part of the journey. That the struggle was a feature, not a bug. That she was building character. She was building character. That part was true. But she was also owed something. She was owed the safety net that someone who loved her had spent 22 years constructing one careful deposit at a time, every first of the month, because she wanted to know that her granddaughter would be okay. I am okay, Nana Ruth. I am more than okay. People talk about chosen family, about cutting ties, about the people who burn you versus the people who build you. I understand all of that. But I also think sometimes about what it means to be seen clearly by someone who loves you, to have someone in your corner who does the unglamorous work, the paperwork, the filing cabinet, the long, quiet decades of showing up without ever asking to be thanked. Not everyone gets that. I know that now. Some families are the thing that holds you. Some families are the thing you have to hold yourself against. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is make sure the people who stole from you are never in a position to steal from anyone else. That is not cruelty. That is just maintenance. Checking the structure. Identifying the load-bearing walls. It's what we do when we want the building to last.